Hello, I'm Derek Terry, host of I'm Not Complaining, I'm Just Saying. Here at one of my favorite spots, the barbershop, where we know if you're gonna complain here, then you better provide solutions.
Good.
It's good. I firmly believe when we make other people's problems part of our conversations without providing solutions or prayer, then we become part of the problem. I want to be able to provide people with a platform where they can freely express their views on such topics as education, social issues, health and fitness. Now that's good. Or sports. So please join me so we can complain and provide solutions together.
Hey, what's going on, peoples? This is your man, Derek Terry, host of I'm Not Complaining, I'm Just Saying, where if you're going to complain, bring some solutions to the table. Welcome to season 7. Oh, I can't believe I can't remember what episode this is. I want to say it's episode 16. Yeah, episode 16. If it isn't, I'll correct it. But today's special guest is Dottery Butler-Washington. She is running for Charles County Board of Education, District 3, district in which I live in. Before I bring her in, I just want to go ahead and give out my little sidebar that my opinions are my opinions. And like anything, I will agree to disagree, and I focus on their platform. Also, I've sent out to every Charles County Board of Education and commissioner an invitation to be on the show. Some have accepted, some have declined, and some I haven't heard from. It is what it is. So what I will say is that the election is coming up. I believe early voting is July 7th and general voting is July 19th. And like I tell all voters, I'm just providing a forum for the candidates to really talk about their platform. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to do your homework. So with that, we're going to bring in Miss Dottery Butler-Washington, who is running for Charles County Board of Education, District 3. So I want to welcome once again, and I just noticed on your thing, it says District, well, I need my glasses on. It does say District 3, I'm sorry. So we want to welcome Ms. Dottery Butler-Washington to I'm Not Complaining, I'm Just Saying, part of our Board of Education series, who's running for Charles County Board of Education, District 3. So welcome, Dottery, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, and I definitely need my glasses because I'm looking up there. I said, that looks like a 1, but I'm not putting them on. So, like I tell all the candidates, I thank you for coming on the show. This is just one way of many that voters can get an opportunity to see what you're about. You get more time to really talk about your platform, and I get an opportunity to dissect some of it. And being here in District 3, I live in District 3, so you're definitely one of the candidates that out of the, I guess, 5 other ones that I have to research and go through. So definitely welcome to the show. But before we get started, tell us about Dottery Butler-Washington, the person, not necessarily the candidate, but the person.
Okay. I am from Georgia originally. I came to Maryland by way of military. We retired here because this was my husband's last duty station, and I got out of the military. I have 2 boys who graduated from Westlake High School. I have 4 grandchildren and 1 actually goes to Charles County Public School system. I graduated from St. Leo University with a computer information systems, and my master's is in technology management. I'm just a passionate person. A lot of y'all know me by when I first got here, there was nothing for my sons to do. And I understood the assignment when you have 2 high schoolers in an area and there is nothing for them to do. So we had a clean slate. I had a senior and I had a freshman. So I had to keep them engaged. So that's why I was fighting so hard to make sure that all of our youth have something to do, because I understand that the public education is closely linked to the success of the community. By just traveling around the world, everywhere we went, there was a rec center for your youth. So that helped the school, actually. So that's me in a nutshell, and I am excited to be here.
Okay, well, thank you. Like all my candidates, I'm always fascinated because there's similarities in who you are and what I experienced. One, prime military as well, Army/Air Force. I've traveled around. My dad's last duty station was in the state of Maryland. I have 2 kids, 1 girl, 1 boy. My girl graduated from Westlake High School. My son currently goes to Westlake High School, just finished up his freshman year. And you being from Georgia, you know, I'm from Alabama. And also traveling the world, accustomed to seeing things for our youth. I was kind of shocked when I came to Charles County. One being it's surrounded by military, but the county itself at the time, and to some degree, didn't have a lot to offer. And I wasn't accustomed to that. And some of it I could blame myself, but because I was being deployed, I really didn't have a lot of time to look. But the expectation was because it was so close to a base that it would have something. And it doesn't. So, you know, those are like the similarities. And that's why I'm always fascinated, because I always tell people we have more in common than we don't. And I appreciate that. Appreciate your service as well as your husband's service. So let's get into it. Your platform, you touch on 4 strategic points, and like any candidate, you want to touch on everything, but it's hard to, with so much time when you're talking to people, it's difficult to say, okay, I don't care about that. We know you do, but there's, you know, you have to find things which separate you from other candidates. So you have stop bullying and sexual misconduct, increase teachers' pay, advocate for mental health needs for all students, and close the student learning gap within our schools. So we're going to start from the bottom to the top. So when we talk about the learning gap, we just wrapped up this school year, and report cards are out. Of course, the test results aren't out as far as what the learning gaps will show. But let's talk about closed student learning gap within our schools. What do you see as the biggest challenge? And then what do you see as some possible solutions to close that gap?
Okay, we just like a lot of people, you know, Dr. Navarro, she invited everybody to listen to her strategic plan. And the numbers, I'm going to speak on the winter, because the fall, we already know those numbers was because majority of the kids was in virtual training, virtual learning. So they are bad, but the kids got back to school. So I'm going to focus on the winter numbers. The numbers for reading, it shocked me. It's 33% of our student was passing and 67 failing in reading. It was an eye opener for us. And, you know, the math was 22%. Yeah, 22% and 78 failing in math. So number one, what it tells me is we must, as a board, give Dr. Navarro the resources she needs to get a robust system up and going immediately. And when I say immediately, I mean that with the numbers that we're seeing, and we got new students coming into the school system, we have to have a plan from day one. I understand the blueprint, you know, we paid for it, robust is great, but we talking about right now. So we have to put something in place right now for that. And one of the solutions I wanted to do is talk about is, and I know I will get support from the teachers, and we just have to sell this to the parents, is summer, we're going to have to cut into some of that summer, meaning that, bringing a robust system, making sure that our students are up to par, being part of that summer program. We all know we don't need two months. We do need 2 months, but when it comes to affecting our students' education, I will sacrifice my summer to make sure that my student,
Now, question,
my child,
when you talk about the summer, are you talking about summer school, or are you talking about an extension of the school year?
It could be the summer school. We can have a robust summer school for the children that are behind. I'm not talking about the students that are already progressing and already passing. They could have that summer, but we're talking about the kids that was mostly affected. So it's gonna be a summer program, because I know I cannot extend the school year because that has to go into state and everything else. We're talking about a robust summer program. That's what I'm talking about.
All right, which would be separate, I guess, from like some students have to go to summer school because, well, they don't have to, but it's recommended that they go to summer school if they failed, I think it's 2 classes or something like that. But what you're talking about, the students that may have got like a D, or you just don't feel that they learned or grasped the knowledge, and then they would have a summer program that focuses, I guess, on reading or whatever.
And math.
So it just focus on the basic skills.
The basic skills.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So with that learning gap, and this is where I've had the issue with the school system as a whole. I think when we came back from COVID, that they rushed to put the kids in, meaning that they should have went in my opinion, in phases. Your 9th graders go for maybe 2 to 3 weeks, then your 10th graders, 11th graders, then your seniors. Because to me, it seems like, boom, you're in here, we're gonna skip the social skills, conflict resolution, we're gonna get straight to the academics. And all the students had literally been out of school for 2 years. So the question is, do you think that COVID had a significant impact on the learning gap, or is this something that was just trending regardless of COVID?
Let's be honest, Derek, it was already there. We already had a gap. COVID just made it a bigger gap. So the school was not preparing the kids as per se, not that they're not teaching them, but setting a program aside to make sure that they close that gap before COVID jumped in.
Okay, yeah, and I agree. Yeah, because I'd be curious to know what the numbers were like before COVID and what they are now, and how large of a gap did it widen because of that. I probably research that sometime down the line, but I'd be curious to know what that is. Which kind of brings us to the part that I talked about when they came in with the lack of social skills. I wouldn't say the lack of, it's just they couldn't hone in on those social skills, conflict resolution. And at this face, let's be honest, a lot of these kids came in with some serious mental issues because of COVID. So one of the things that you have on here, you want to advocate for mental health needs for all students. Why do you feel that's important and at this particular time?
At this particular time, Derek, we have to address the whole child. We can't just say learn, and we don't address the needs that they have mentally. Because being at home for 2 years and then going back to school, and you lost all of that social ability, you lost a lot in that time. So because on their website, they do partner with one mental health organization.
Yeah, I think that's Tri-County.
Yes, yeah, but there are many in the county, Derek, that we can partner with, because I know several, and one of them is the Center for Children. They do the same thing. So why can't we connect with them and we place these kids and get them the additional help they want, because the school pay for it. The parents don't have to pay for this. So what we're doing is we getting the parents the help that they need to help their child with the mental part, and then we can come in at the same time and help them learn. So you put it all in perspective. So if we treat every piece of the child, then the child will be able to focus in school and do what they're doing. So that's why I say mental health is very important. It's not a taboo anymore. It's not, oh, we're not going to talk about it. It is real. And we need to address it just like it's real.
Yeah, and I think the other part of it is we know, especially within the Black community, that mental health is a stigma. And we have to have parents as well as the students that are willing participants in seeking out these mental health needs. And I know that a lot of the candidates have talked about the need to hire mental health professionals. I'm playing devil's advocate. If we have such a shortage with teachers, what makes people think that there's going to all of a sudden be a surplus of mental health providers?
You're absolutely right. It's not, because I have talked to them. They are not willing to come to the school, number one, because of pay. That's number one for them. But what they do propose is, why can't the school utilize them as a contract to come in and do this work for the school? Because let's listen to all this. The school cannot be the all to all. They can't hire all the teachers. They can't hire all the psychologists. We can't do it by ourselves. That's why we need community partners. And we get that in our head with community partners. We can do a lot for our kids. Think about the federal government. Why did the federal government start outsourcing? They couldn't keep up with demand. So they went out and outsourced. So the school has to slowly start thinking about, we're going to have to do the same thing. Because the bottom line is that we're meant to make sure that every child succeeds. And if every child is going to succeed, we need to think outside the box and partner with our community partners in doing so.
Yeah, and I think the other thing what people don't realize is they say, well, we have psychologists. Me, I'm a former special educator. Psychologists' primary responsibilities is to focus on the special ed population, especially when they have to do the reevaluations. And they're doing a lot. Some of the psychologists may have to service 2 schools. So to have them come in to also be a quote unquote child psychologist or psychiatrist and mental health provider, they're stretched thin. And I do agree, they're going to have to come up with a means to either outsource or connect with some of these other mental health providers that are out here, such as Tri-County, and it's called, is it CAP? Center for? Well,
CAP is more for grown-ups. They don't deal with children. So the Center of Children deal with everything that Tri-Care does. Same thing. So they're out there. We just got to connect with them.
Okay. So the other thing, if we have the mental health providers in place, not only for the students but for the staff, that doesn't necessarily guarantee that we're going to recruit and retain teachers. So the other point that you mentioned is increased teachers' pay. Now, I'm only speaking for me.
Okay.
You couldn't pay me enough to come back because of all the stuff that I've seen and things that I have not seen changed. I'm at a peace of mind after 18 years. But don't get me wrong, pay will increase it. Well, will increase retention and recruitment to a degree. So how do you propose that and I think you talked about it with the blueprint, but how do you propose that we continuously increase the teacher's pay once the blueprint is dissolved?
We have to put it in the budget. It cannot be a separate sidebar where we fund the school and then we go back to the commissioners and say, now we need pay for their teachers. It cannot be like that. You have to be able. And one of the things that we know that we're going to have to work with our elected officials, we have to find another way of helping funding the education, this blueprint, because this is law. It's not a if we can do it, if we can't, we have to do it. So the commission is going to have to find a way, and we're going to work with them, because one of the big things I say is I have seen it happen. In Georgia, they repeatedly apply for these federal grants, state grants, Bank of America grants, Bill Gates grants. They're all out there. We just have to have the necessary resource in our grant department to continue doing it. Those high visibility schools, just like Montgomery, ask them. All of them do the same thing. They get the same kind of money we get, but they are working outside of their taxes to be able to bring in that money. So we got to think outside the box here in Charles County. We got to say, and if it has to be that it's other ways that they can do it, we need to think of that avenue. But right now I can think of a impactful one, which is that grant department in the school and in the county that we can work for to make up some of that money, because it's going to decrease each year.
Yeah, because and for the audience that doesn't understand the Maryland blueprint, I'm just going to basically summarize it. It's a law that requires the state to give a certain portion of money, and also for the school districts to give a certain portion of money. However, that money decreases every year to the point to where a big chunk of that funding is going to have to come from the local school districts. So we need to think, like you said, outside the box, but we also need to think in the future of how we're going to do this. And then the other thing to really think about, and I'm familiar on whether or not they have it, whether or not they have contracting officers within the school system. You need more than one. I would say at least 2 or 3. And they may have it. I don't know, but if they don't have it, I would encourage them to get that, because that's really all they do is they try to, well, I wouldn't say contracting. What I would say is grants.
The grant specialists.
Grant specialists. And they may have it. I don't know, but that's something to look into.
They do have them, Derek, but their focus is not going to that federal level. We know that HUD has millions of dollars to give schools. We know for a fact that FAH have a whole lot of money. Department of Education have a whole lot of money. And within these federal organizations, they have lots of money to give away, but we must apply for those positions, because Baltimore is famous for it. Baltimore has a robust grant department that they continuously get money every year. I'm going to give you an example. The Bank of America gives out $25 million every year. Guess who get that grant every year? Baltimore. Every year, Baltimore. And I asked them, why do Baltimore get this? They said because they it's a need for it, and they put it in the application how it's a need. And I kind of told them a little bit how we run here in the rural area, and they said there is rural money for you also. It's a Bank of America in your county, right? And I said yes. They said, well, that's who you apply to get to us. So it is ways of getting money here, but we just got to think about how to get the money here.
Okay. So before we go into your last bullet, which and I want to focus on that last, because it's a very sensitive topic and it's one that's personal to me. So we're going to talk about that last. But I wanted to briefly touch on the Maryland Senate Bill 749, and just to summarize that, that bill pretty much created districts for statewide, well, actually for Charles, maybe the statewide, no, for Charles County.
Charles County.
To have our Board of Education candidates elected per the district. Now, I'm not faulting you. I know you helped out with this, but I agree with this, but I also felt that it should have been broadened to our commissioners and to our delegates, because when we talk about misrepresentation, none of our delegates that I know of live in District 3 or in Waldorf. And I have an issue with that, especially if all of our Board of Education candidates have to be within our district. So the question is, do you know the reasoning or the rationale behind just focusing primarily on the school districts, but not necessarily the delegates or the commissioners? Because I think you helped out with this.
No. I didn't help out with this. I complained about this by saying that why do, in a school board, you live in a district and you don't have a representative in your district that you can talk to, explain to, so they can understand your hurt because of the previous years, how the board is. It was all predominantly in one district. Okay. So when someone complains from another district, I didn't feel that they had my back or they even felt my pain. I simply said, why don't we have representatives from each district? So if someone from District 3 comes to me and say, Dottery, this is happening in District 3, this is happening, I can go to the board and fill it out and ask other districts, are y'all having the same problem? Let's come up with a solution. It's my responsibility for District 3 to ensure that every child is successful. Meaning that if I can't find an answer, I go out and try to think of an answer. But it just didn't sit well with me that the board was predominantly from one district instead of from your own district. And just to your thinking, Derek, like you said, your commissioners and all of those, they're not in your district. So how do you feel, how are they feeling your pain when they're not there with you?
Well, the commissioners are in our district. However, everybody can vote for them in the county. That's where I have a problem, because you're gonna be held less accountable,
right? Because
you don't have to worry about everybody in your district. You can say, you know what, I can get we'll just use District 3, for example. I can go to Cobb Island area and get a vast majority of those votes. Well, guess what? Those people in Cobb Island don't live here. They don't live in this district. So it's not saying I don't care about them, but your problems are different from the problems that we have here. And I need for you, either as a commissioner or a delegate, to be focused on my district. And that's and I'm glad you cleared that up. Just when I look at it, it looks like you help with it, but what you're saying is you advocated for it, and I agree. I've always said that we should have district-only voting, and this is the start. I'm hoping that it's a trend, and it goes to the delegates, and it goes to the commissioners, and especially for the delegates. The delegates are the ones who pass the laws.
Right.
And I'm not saying the delegates don't care about District 3, but they don't live in District 3. And when we're looking at state laws, we need something that not only going to impact the county, but also is going to benefit District 3. And whoever is elected within District 3, we need that voice. With, it's two people from District 3. We definitely need that voice. And I do agree. A lot of times what goes on in these districts are unheard unless you live in those specific districts. So glad you cleared that up. Okay. So the last thing, and I definitely feel your passion with it. I've always, as an educator, always told my students, you have a right to learn, you have a right to be safe, and you have a right to think. Well, I'm sorry, you have a right to think, a right to learn, and a right to be safe.
Yes.
And we're gonna touch on two parts. We're gonna talk about the bullying first, and then we're gonna get to the sexual misconduct. With bullying, what are some things that you have heard or been made aware of that made this one of your talking points or one of your platform points?
It was just the calls and first it started off as, people telling it on Facebook, and then somebody will pop in my name. Then they email me their whole history of what's been going on. Derek, I couldn't even process it. That was my child. I couldn't process me. Someone bullying my child. I have to put in a form online, wait 72 hours. Maybe I hear something, maybe I not hear anything. They do an investigation and come back and say, well, it was really nothing found. So it's nothing.
Yeah, and
but it's something to your child.
And that can be the difference between life and death, potential suicide. As an educator, unfortunately, I've known some students that have went that route. I didn't know what was going on, but once I found out, I'm like, wow, I wish they had told me. And I think part of the problem is Charles County, although they say they don't have it, they have this zero tolerance policy. So if I'm bully A, and let's say bully A messes with student B, and then they start fighting. Well, guess what? You're still both gonna get suspended, although bully was the one who initiated. They're both gonna get suspended because you caused a disruption. Right. Now, when it comes to school bullying, what are some things that you feel that, and I don't think it's gonna stop it, but can at least reduce it?
I think once a child and the parent feel that their child is bullied, they fill out that form, they come to the table, I automatically think you should come to the table. I know Charles County don't want to do that because it's more like I don't want to be involved, but it's a mediator there. The parent is there and the child is there. And so what happens is the child speaks first. The child has been bullied, tell what happened. Then the child who's doing the bullying say why. The parents hear both sides. Then the parent comes in and tell the child, you should not bully or you should bully, and this is why you should not bully. But the media is there to make sure that all the questions are answered. So when both parties leave that table, there is a process in place, and it's a responsibility. The person that's being bullied will feel, okay, they heard me. I talked to the other parent. The parent's going to work on their child to make sure it's not happen again. My child feels that I advocated for him or her and making sure that they are able to do something for them. So everybody leaves the table with a sense of a direction of, I got something done. But when you just put in an application online and the school determines if it's bullying or not, but your child repeatedly come home and tell you stuff, there must be something done. It has to be something done because it's yourself has to know that you are the protector of your child. When you as a parent feel that you can't protect your child, that's a space that I don't want no one to be in. And I just can't imagine being in a space like that. So, and I don't want to imagine any parent being in that space like that.
Yeah, and I agree. I'm gonna play devil's advocate because I've been in some of these meetings where we had to bring the parents and the students together. And I'm just gonna give you a case in point.
Okay.
Well, and I ain't talking about your child. Your child's a punk. They need to toughen up. If they can't handle it, then whatever, deal with it. So now you have a parent that you pretty much know was a bully.
Mm-hmm.
Child's a bully. You're not gonna get any resolution. Mm-hmm. So what happens when you bring them together and the parent, you realize, okay, now I can see you got the tree, you got the apple. Mm-hmm. So what do you do in that case?
Okay, that case is, it goes a step further. Now that you know the parent is the reason why this child is acting like this, therefore we begin to give resources for that parent and that child.
But I don't want them. I'm speaking to parents.
You can't come back to school. You cannot come back to school. No, you cannot come back.
I'm gonna come back.
Well, that's when you have the law enforcement at the front of the door to let you know that you cannot come back to school. But we're gonna, you have to have escalating places like that, because I know that every parent is not going to come in just like I displayed and it's gonna happen. I know that. So therefore, you got to have layers of what if this happened, just like you just did to me. We will have those discussions and make sure that we have a process for each one of those. But it got to start somewhere.
And you're also going to have those parents going to be in disbelief. Not my child, not my baby.
Until the child tells mama in front of us what she's done, and then she becomes a believer. It happened to me. Yeah. It happened to me. My child, not my child. But when I heard it out of his mouth and what he did, I became a believer, because it taught me one thing, that a child can manipulate their parents because they know how much we love them. So therefore, it's better for me and it's better for every parent to listen to the adult. And once you listen to the adult, and then you compare notes, so you know where it's going. So you teach your child that you're not the adult in school. I am the adult. So when they go to school, they know the same pattern that happened at home happens at school. That's why we got behavior problem, because when you go from home to school, it's different. But when we grew up in the South, it was the same. So we knew if we left.
When we grew up in the South, I don't know if you can see this, but that's where I got paddled, and I moved my hand out the way, and the ruler, the metal piece, got stuck. So,
I grew up in Georgia.
I got a permanent scar when I was in Birmingham, and I went to Wilkerson Middle School in Birmingham, Alabama. Miss Beverly, rest your soul. She's a sweet lady though, but I was speaking German, and I was told to stop, and I don't know what I was saying. I probably was cussing her out. I don't know. But, I got what I deserved. We don't condone that now.
Oh, no. We have to communicate. We got to use our words.
Yeah.
It's communication. So once you communicate with a child, they understand it and the child know how to communicate. I'm just a believer that behavior will come down because the child know how to communicate now. Okay. A lot of kids don't know how to communicate. That's why behavior comes in problem.
Well, we definitely know that bullying is going to be around. It's the hope is that we can reduce it. The other thing that we know is going to be around is sexual misconduct, whether it's among a student and a student or a staff and a student.
Yes.
How do we, what is the issues right now with Charles County and probably a lot of other school districts, but specifically with Charles County?
The Charles County is more of teacher on student than it's on student on student. It's
we'll say staff. We'll say staff.
Yes, staff. Yeah. So we have to put a process in place that, just like when you're in the federal government, we do the securities. I understand securities are very expensive, but we have to budget for that. We have to budget for it. And when you budget for it, therefore, when new teachers come in, that's, you give them a not a poly, but give them a security check, background check every 5 years. And then if they are clean for 10 years, like the federal government do, you just go in and look at the high points of them and then you clear them because they have proven themselves. A lot of people, all of this sexual harassment that's coming in, it's mainly because of new teachers they have let in the system. And whatever they did at their last school, it didn't follow them. So there has to be a process between the schools that say, he was employed here and his record has to follow him if it has something to do with sexual assault. I'm not saying his whole history, but that's something, you can go to jail for, so it should follow you. And so that I learned in the other schools.
Well, typically it should be in there, but if it's under investigation, it may not be in there. But I was speaking with a parent a couple of days ago, and I used to be a security manager. So I used to do background checks and all the other stuff. And what I would tell people is that a background check is not going to catch something you haven't been caught doing. So if you're a pedophile, whatever, you can do all the background checks you want. It's not going to detect that pedophile until they get caught. Right. So although you're recommending we need to put money into it, I don't know if money's going to fix the problem, because if they haven't been caught, and the 5 years can be long, because within, I wouldn't say be long, if they commit a crime, you're going to know about it if it happens. But my thing is, and I'm trying to say it's very difficult for me to fault a school system for someone who allegedly committed sexual assault or anything sexual in nature if it's not on their record and they've never been exposed of doing it. So if that is the case, I'm trying to figure out, and maybe not necessarily for you, what other measures can we do if there's nothing to report because it hasn't been done yet?
Well, it's the same thing as for students. We tell, say something, do something, say something, do something. You got to. We have to have, teachers have to have eyes too. If they see any little thing going on, just report it. It could be nothing. You have to report it, because all of us are responsible for these children. Not so all of us are. So we have to all be hands on deck when it comes to them, because we, in the application, when you're getting hired, you got to have some kind of trust issue there. A trust factor there. When you hire someone, you got to have a good feeling of when you hire someone. And I understand when people who do not have records and they've been getting away for years, we see it all the time. People, first time, he's a great person. No, he didn't do that. And come to find out, he just got caught this time. But when they do an investigation, they've been doing it all along. So it ain't no one fixed way how we got to do it. We're just going to have to trust one another and depend on one another to make sure that the goal is to make sure that our children are safe.
Yeah, and I really think that's really, from a budget standpoint, all you really can do, because a secret clearance can run you anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000. Top secret, I don't know, maybe 3 to 6. Imagine doing that on every teacher, where somebody got to go out to where you used to live at, interview. And remember, when they interview, well, at least for the secret one, they're going to interview the people that you tell them to. Top secret, they may not tell them that you come. Right. So I just don't know if we're ever going to get to that level, only because, yeah, it is costly. And what if you do all that and still don't cover it, and then boom, bombshell? Right. And I think, like Duran had said, bombshell. I don't know what the bombshell is, but I guess we're waiting for it in the next couple of days. But so, all right, well, before we close, I don't know if you've seen my show. I do this word games where I say 7 words, and
I'm not good at this stuff.
And you just tell me what comes to your mind. It could be one word, it could be a sentence. It's not a wrong answer, it's not a right answer, it's just your answer. Okay, so you ready? All right, Waldorf, make it easy first.
Growth.
Okay, mental health.
Improvement.
United States Navy.
The greatest thing I ever had.
That you ever had?
Yes, because it made me who I am. So it's good. The future.
Sports.
The community.
All right. Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated.
That is my sorority, and that's the best sisterhood in the world.
I know my Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority sisters would beg to differ, but it's all good. We all one fam. We all one fam. And then the last one, Hot Atlanta.
Hot Atlanta is where it is for the 95 South. That's all I can say. 95 South. I can't say what I want to say, but that's the peach of the world, the best.
I'm from the ham. So for those who don't know, she's talking about Atlanta, because some of them may not know.
Okay.
We call Birmingham the ham, and Atlanta says Hot Atlanta. All right. So let me put something up real quick before we go. So there we go. So before we close, I'm that voter who just met you. Why should I vote for Dottery Butler-Washington?
I am the most passionate person that wants everything and growth, the future for our youth. And when I say I'm passionate about something, I do not stop. My grandson is in there in the school system, so therefore your child is in there, or your grandchild, or your niece or nephew. They will get the same attention and the same to ensure that they are learning, that they are the best that they should be, and they will have opportunities, not just to graduate school, but after school. So therefore, we want to advocate for college. We already do, but we want to advocate for those CTE classes where students who not want to go to college, that they will be able to go there. And I'm going to throw this in the military. The military made me. I didn't go straight to college. I went to the military. The military funded my education, and that's whom I am. So that's why I say military must be a part of your solution if you want your child to be the best that they are. Thank you.
So for those that may not know, District 3 covers this purple area, which I'm in right here. I have no idea where the north, south, east, west ends at, but it's that purple area. And if you want to find out more about Dottery Butler-Washington and her campaign, whether it's donate, to help out, her website is www.dotterybutlerwashington.com. She's running for the Board of Education, District 3. And once again, I want to thank you for coming on the show. And like all candidates, if there's an opportunity where I can help you with your platform, meaning put it out, anything like that, you let me know. I'm not endorsing, but I tell all candidates that's what I'm here for. I'm educating myself, but at the end of the day, You people, you have to educate yourself on the candidates, and this is just one way to do it. So any last words?
Yes, I got one word. I've been doing a lot of canvassing, so I don't know where I'll be, but have you got one of my door knocks? Oh,
Yeah,
great. So I'm doing good.
I'm in Piney Grove, which is in between Hampshire and Charles Crossing.
You know what? I stumbled on that place. I didn't know it was back there. We did Charles Crossing, and we went around the corner. We was like, what is this? And it was houses and houses and houses. So I'm glad. So thank you. I'm on a trail to get majority of my community, my information on their doors.
Okay, well, we thank you, and we wish you the best of luck, and I'm almost certain I will see you on the campaign trail.
Yes, thank you so much.
All right, so once again, I want to thank Ms. Dottery Butler-Washington for coming on the show and giving not only me, but hopefully you, some general background on her platform as in her quest to be the next Charles County Board of Education representing District 3. Man. So next up on the show, pending any conflicts as far as schedule, I'm going to have who I was going to have? Oh, Gilbert B.J. Bowling, who's a current Commissioner District 1, who's running for re-election. So he's going to be on the show. If you happen to have any questions in advance, you can send it to me. I'll put the email on because I can't remember the email, but I'll put the email on the headline as you go through. And we'll let you know when that's going to air. Before I go, I want to let me cover this up. I'm going to give a special shout out to Clean Wave Auto Spa. I appreciate it. They not only clean and wax and detail your cars, they also give back to the community as well as the kids. So we appreciate the $500 donation for Light the Way Foundation, which offers a free youth summer camp starting June 27th at Howard University. 20 kids, 7 of those kids are coming from Charles County. We have kids that are coming from DC, Prince George's County, I believe Calvert. I think that may be it, but they're coming from the DMV area, and these kids are going to have a blast. They're going to get the opportunity to connect, network, but to learn how to do their own documentary, where it comes to learn how to edit, write, film, speak, act, all the other stuff. But it's going to be a fun week, and I will definitely let you know when the finished product is done, but it won't be until after they do their red carpet premiere, which means that they get the opportunity for their movie to be seen on the big screen. Big screen. I've never had that done in my life. So they get that opportunity, and with generous donors like Clean Wave Auto Spa and our other donors, we can make this happen. So, but if you want to know more information about Light the Way Foundation, go to lightthewayfoundation.org, and you can definitely, whether it's donate or you can just, just an opportunity just to see what we do. But until then, we're gonna get ready to go. Once again, thank you to Ms. Dottery Butler-Washington, who's running for Charles County Board of Education, District 3, and to the viewers, be safe, be hydrated. But until then, peace and blessings.
Blaze the path.